Dear student, today we will talk about the Miller's and Urey's experiment. Stanley Miller and Harold Urey performed an experiment to describe the origin of life on Earth. They provided the first experimental proof in 1953 that the organic molecules needed for the life could be formed from the inorganic component gradually. But this concept was given by AI Opren and JBS Halden. Okay, and the Millers and Urey, they gave the proof for this concept. So let's understand first the Opren and Halden theory in 1923. Opren proposed first modern model for the origin of life independently, and later this model was supported by Halden in 1928. So they both separately proposed this model. Opren and Halden together proposed the theory of biochemical um, origin of life. And according to this theory, the life arose gradually from the inorganic molecules, and this is also known as chemosynthetic theory. So the concept on which the Opren and Halden theory is based on, there are three basic requirements. First is the ability to reproduce and replicate hereditary material, presence of life assembly systems such as enclosed membrane, and third, use of energy to accomplish growth. What does this indicate? That whatever the first life is formed, they should fulfill these three criteria, that they should be capable of reproducing by themselves and capable of replicating the hereditary material, and they are enclosed by the membrane, and they use the energy to accomplish the growth. So key point of Opren and Halden hypothesis: the simple organic molecules were formed spontaneously from the simple inorganic molecules under the primitive earth condition. Now what is primitive earth condition? The atmosphere was reduced, non-availability of free oxygen, temperature was 5000 to 6000 degrees Celsius. The atom existed in the ionic state and tend to donate their electron. The compound existed such as carbide, oxide, nitride, and they existed in the gaseous state. Water existed in the superheated steam. All kind of solar radiation reached the earth, and there were frequent electric discharges and volcanic eruptions. The simple organic molecule were formed from the simple inorganic molecule, and the simple organic molecules undergo series of reaction and later on resulted in the large complex molecule, that is polymers such as polypeptide, polysaccharide, polynucleotide, etc. The complex molecule formed by the assembly unit that were capable of sustaining themselves and carry out the replication. They were known as coisovates, and they were capable of initiating metabolic reactions. Slowly the earth cooled down and they divided to form the first pre-cell. The Opren-Halden concept of life was experimentally proved by Miller and Urey in 1952 and famously called as Miller's and Urey experiment. Stanley Miller Urey recreated primitive environment condition on Earth in the laboratory apparatus. Now, what was the aim of the experiment? To evaluate the possibility that organic compound important for the origin of life may have been abiologically formed abiologically on the primitive earth. So the requirement was 100 millimeter mercury of hydrogen, 200 mmHg of methane, 200 mmHg of ammonia, and 200 ml of water vapor. Now, what is the procedure and theory? The experiment was a simulation experiment to prove molecular evolution of life. The experiment demonstrated that simple organic compound like amino acid, hydroxy acid, aliphatic acid, sugar, and urea can be synthesized in laboratory from the mixture of methane, hydrogen, water vapor, and ammonia. Time for which this electric spark were given 1 week. The temperature that was capped was 800 degrees Celsius. So here you can see the diagram. Now here, this is the boiling water, okay, and when it get heated it forms the steam, and this is steam comes here. Here is the mixture of these gases, and then electrodes were there. So this much volt was the voltage that the electrode were kept at, and the electrode simulated lightning. The condenser, it simulated the precipitation. So after that, whatever form was condensed, so this simulated cooling of earth also. Here the boiling water simulated the ocean reservoir, primitive ocean, and then the content was analyzed or observed. So when observation was made, the end product of experiment were observed, and it was turbid. A reddish brown color substance was deposited on the electrode as well. Inference, the analysis of end product was done, and conclusion was drawn that it consists of organic compounds which were formed from the inorganic compound under the specific condition, and these organic compounds such as amino acids, carbohydrates, so they were the simple organic compound which were formed from the inorganic compound. So this was proved in the Miller's and Urey's experiment. Thank you.